All right, so today we're going to take a deep dive into the future.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah, well, we're going to try to figure out how to approach it without, all the fear and anxiety that sometimes comes with thinking about the future.
Makes sense. Everyone's worried about what's coming next.
Exactly. And to help us with this, we're going to be tapping into the wisdom of Jack Ma.
Oh, wow. The Alibaba founder. That's a great choice.
Yeah, I found this motivational YouTube video where he's speaking to a bunch of young people.
Okay. What's he telling them?
Well, the most interesting thing is he basically tells them not to worry about the future.
That's pretty counterintuitive,
Yeah?
especially coming from someone like him who built, a whole business empire.
Right. I mean, you'd think he'd be all about planning and strategizing and like trying to predict every possible outcome.
Yeah, I'd expect something more about, analyzing market trends and all that.
But he's not saying to just bury your head in the sand. It's more about understanding where that fear comes from.
So it's like addressing the root cause of the anxiety rather than just the symptoms.
Exactly. He links it to like a lack of confidence and imagination.
Oh, that's interesting.
Mhm.
So fear comes from not believing in yourself and not being able to envision a positive future.
Yeah, and he keeps emphasizing how young people have nothing to lose. It's like he's saying, hey, you're at the starting line of your life.
You've got nothing holding you back, so go for it.
Yeah, why not aim for the impossible?
I love that. He's all about embracing the unknown.
And he even uses his own experience as an example.
Oh, with Alibaba.
Yeah. Remember like 18 years ago when they were just starting out?
Oh, yeah, they were the underdogs, right?
Totally. No money, no fancy technology.
So how do they even get off the ground?
It was just this pure belief in, the power of e-commerce and the internet.
Wow, a leap of faith.
Totally. And taking that leap of faith, I mean, that's ultimately what led to their success.
I guess it makes you wonder what impossible things are possible, if we could just, let go of that fear.
Yeah. What are we holding ourselves back from because we're so focused on what could go wrong? What amazing, world-changing idea are you sitting on?
Hmm, that's a good question to think about.
Definitely. And it all ties back to his perspective on technology.
Oh, yeah. How does he view all that? Especially with AI being such a hot topic.
I know, right? And a lot of people are worried about AI taking over jobs, but Jack Ma sees all these technological revolutions as opportunities.
Opportunity, like for creating more jobs, not destroying them.
Exactly. He doesn't deny there might be some disruptions in the short term.
But he sees the bigger picture.
Exactly. He points to historical examples. Think about the steam engine, for example.
Oh, that's a classic one. I
Ex-
remember learning about that in school.
Yeah, at the time it was super disruptive, right?
People were terrified they'd lose their livelihoods, their jobs would become obsolete.
Exactly. And it was the same with electricity. People were scared.
But ultimately, both of those inventions ended up creating way more jobs than they displaced.
Right. And they led to the birth of entirely new industries that no one could have even imagined before.
That's fascinating. So he's basically saying history is repeating itself with AI.
Yeah, that's his argument. But what's important, he says, is to focus on what makes us uniquely human, the things that AI can't replicate.
Okay, like what?
He talks about things like wisdom, belief, that gut feeling you have about something, even religion and spirituality.
Intuition, creativity, empathy, things like that.
Exactly. And he says you can't code that into a machine, at least not yet.
True, true. I mean, AI is great at processing information, but it can't replicate human emotions or experiences.
Right. So the question becomes, how can you leverage those inherent human strengths? How can you thrive in a future shaped by AI?
Not just survive, but actually thrive.
Yeah. What are your unique gifts?
What makes you you?
Exactly. And how can you use those to not just stay afloat, but, really make a difference?
That's a powerful way to look at it.
Yeah.
So instead of getting swept away by all the changes and fear, we should be focusing on what makes us human.
Exactly. It's about, doubling down on those things. It almost sounds like a tagline for a self-help book, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah, kind of. But it's true, though.
Seriously, how do we prepare for a future that feels so uncertain? Where do we even begin?
Well, according to Jack Ma, the real test starts after graduation.
After graduation, what does he mean by that?
He actually calls diplomas certificates, suggesting that the real learning happens out in the world, not in a classroom.
Ah, so it's like school gives you the tools, but the real world is the workshop where you actually use them.
Exactly. And not just use them, but maybe even invent some new ones.
That's a great analogy.
Right. And that real world experience, it's not always pretty.
Yeah, there are definitely going to be setbacks, tough times.
Absolutely. But Jack Ma has a great way of framing this whole thing. He says, today is very tough. Tomorrow is more tougher. But the day after tomorrow is beautiful.
Oh, I love that quote. It's such a great reminder that challenges are inevitable and they're actually essential for growth.
Like they make us stronger, more
Yeah.
resilient.
Right. It's in those tough moments when things get really difficult that we discover our true strength and resilience.
And he's all about embracing those tough moments.
Definitely. And speaking of tough, remember how he talked about ditching ideas that everyone agreed on?
Oh, yeah. That was interesting.
He says that if everyone's on board with an idea, he throws it out.
Because it's probably not groundbreaking, right?
Exactly. He's looking for the tough ideas, the ones that challenge the status quo.
Ones that make people uncomfortable.
Yeah, even if they seem a little crazy at first.
So it's all about thinking differently, questioning assumptions,
Yeah.
considering perspectives that maybe other people shy away from.
And that makes me wonder, when was the last time you went against the grain?
Ooh, good question.
What tough idea are you wrestling with right now that could lead to a real breakthrough?
Yeah. What uncomfortable idea are you avoiding?
That's something to think about.
Definitely. And there's this other kind of intense thing that Jack Ma says. He says most people die tomorrow evening.
Whoa. That's pretty intense. He's not talking about literally dying, right?
No, not physically. He's talking about the death of dreams,
Hmm.
of ambition, of that, spark that makes us want to create and contribute.
Oh, I see. So he's saying most people give up on their dreams too soon.
Yeah, they let fear and doubt and just the daily grind, extinguish that flame.
So how do we avoid that death of dreams? How do we keep that spark alive, especially when things get tough?
That's a fantastic question, and honestly, it's something we'll dive deeper into in the next part of our deep dive.
Sounds good to me. So for now, we've talked about why we shouldn't fear the future.
Right, and how Jack Ma encourages us to embrace the unknown and focus on what makes us human.
Exactly. But next time, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of how to actually shape the future we want.
I'm excited to keep exploring this.
Me too. So stay tuned for part 2.
Can't wait. So you want to avoid that whole dying tomorrow evening thing, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty powerful image.
It is. And it all goes back to that confidence and imagination we were talking about earlier.
So if you have a strong vision for the future, that's what keeps you going when things get rough.
Exactly. It's like, having a North Star to guide you. But how do you, actually translate those dreams into action?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question. Does Jack Ma give any, practical tips for making those big aspirations a reality?
He does. And they might surprise you. He keeps it pretty simple, actually.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
He boils it down to 3 things. Work hard, think differently, and never stop learning.
Okay, work hard. That's not exactly groundbreaking advice.
It's not. But there's more to it than just, clocking in hours.
So what does he mean exactly?
He talks about Alibaba's early days, how they were putting in 70-hour work weeks.
Wow, that's intense.
Yeah, they were traveling all the time, pushing themselves to the limit. He even mentions working on planes, racking up 867 hours in the air in a single year.
Okay, so there's definitely that element of, just pure grit and determination. But it's not just about working yourself to the bone, is it?
No, there's got to be some strategy involved, right?
Right, thinking smart, not just working hard. Remember how he talked about, ditching those ideas that everyone loved?
Oh, yeah, going against the grain.
Exactly. That's what he means by thinking differently, challenging those conventional ideas.
Don't be afraid to explore those, tough questions.
The ones that other people might avoid.
Yep. That's where you find those truly innovative ideas.
Work hard, think differently. What was that third piece of advice?
Never stop learning. He's really big on that.
Constantly expanding your knowledge and skills.
Exactly. He stresses that graduation isn't the end. It's actually just the beginning.
So the real learning starts when we're out in the world.
Yep. He says the world is our classroom, full of lessons we can't learn from textbooks.
That's an interesting way to think about it.
Every experience, every success, every failure, it's all an opportunity to learn and grow.
So it's about cultivating that, mindset of continuous learning, always being curious, always seeking out new knowledge.
Exactly. And that loops back to what we were talking about earlier with future-proofing ourselves in the age of AI.
Oh, right. The more we learn and develop those uniquely human skills.
The better equipped we'll be to navigate a world that's, constantly changing.
Okay, so Jack Ma's formula for tackling the future. It sounds like a blend of grit, innovation, and a constant hunger for knowledge.
That's a good summary.
But honestly, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by all this advice. Where do you even, begin to apply all of this?
It is a lot to take in,
Mm.
but, everyone's path is different. There's no, like, one-size-fits-all roadmap to success.
So what matters most?
Finding what works for you, what really excites you, what lights you up. Pursue that with everything you've got.
So it's not about following a set of instructions.
No, it's more about cultivating a certain mindset.
A mindset of, courage, curiosity,
Yeah, a willingness to dive headfirst into the unknown, to push yourself beyond your comfort zone. Challenge yourself to grow.
and never giving up on those dreams that make you feel alive.
Exactly. And I think what's really interesting is that Jack Ma sees fear not as this obstacle to overcome, but as a signpost almost.
A signpost, what do you mean?
Like if something scares you, if it makes you uncomfortable, maybe that's the direction you should be heading in.
Wow, that's a different way of thinking about fear. So it's not something to avoid, but something to embrace.
In a way, yeah, because on the other side of that fear, on the other side of that discomfort,
Hmm.
there might be something truly extraordinary waiting.
I love that. It all comes back to that thought-provoking idea about dying tomorrow evening.
Right. So let me ask you, what dream are you keeping alive,
What are you holding on to, even if it feels impossible?
even if it makes your palms sweat a little?
Those are some good questions.
They are, and they might make you a little uncomfortable, but that's what a deep dive is all about, right? Diving into those uncharted waters.
And coming back up with maybe a fresh perspective.
Exactly. And sometimes the most amazing discoveries we make are about ourselves.
So it's not just about the future, it's about understanding ourselves better.
It's both, because the future isn't some predetermined destination. We're all actively creating it through our choices, our actions, our beliefs.
So for everyone listening, if you're feeling a bit lost or unsure about what's next,
Remember what Jack Ma said, don't worry,
embrace the unknown.
tap into those unique strengths you have, and never stop learning.
And most importantly,
Never lose sight of that dream, that spark that makes you feel truly alive.
nurture it, protect it, and let it guide you toward the future.
Because the world needs your ideas. It needs your passion, your unique contributions. Go make some waves.
And prove Jack Ma wrong. Don't die tomorrow evening.
Live a life so full and vibrant that it inspires others to do the same.
Maybe someday you'll be the ones sharing your wisdom on a deep dive like this.
Until then, keep diving, keep exploring, and keep believing in the power of the future. It's interesting. We started this deep dive by talking about how Jack Ma tells young people not to worry about the future.
Right.
But the more we unpack his message, the more I realize it's not about ignoring the future. It's about actually shaping it.
He's all about taking action, isn't he?
He is. He doesn't just want us to sit around and wait for things to happen.
He wants us to make things happen.
Exactly. And he actually gives a concrete example of this in the video.
Yeah. Which one?
He talks about back in 2003, during the SARS outbreak.
Oh, wow. That was a tough time.
It was. Everyone thought Alibaba was finished, travel was restricted, businesses were shut down. It was scary.
I can imagine. So what did they do?
Well, instead of panicking, they saw an opportunity.
Really? In the
Yeah.
middle of all that chaos?
Yep. They shifted their focus to online shopping.
Oh, that's smart.
It was. And it ended up being a turning point for the company.
So a crisis can also be a catalyst for innovation.
Exactly.
Mm.
Sometimes it takes a major disruption to force us to think differently, to come up with creative solutions.
And that takes us back to Jack Ma's advice about thinking outside the box, right?
Mm.
When you're faced with a challenge, don't just look for the most obvious answer.
Ask what if.
What if we approach this problem from a completely different angle?
What if we turn this obstacle into an advantage?
It's all about those future-proof skills we were talking about.
Adaptability, creativity, problem solving.
Those are the things that set you apart no matter what the future throws at you.
And it's not just about reacting to external challenges. It's also about seeking out opportunities for growth.
Right. Jack Ma emphasizes that true learning begins after graduation when we're out in the real world.
He even says that our diplomas are just certificates.
The real test starts when we leave the classroom and have to apply our knowledge to real-life situations.
Exactly. The world becomes our classroom. Every experience, every interaction, every success, every failure, it's all a chance to learn and grow.
It makes me think about all the times I've learned the most valuable lessons, not from books or lectures, but from making mistakes, from trying things that didn't work out.
Those aha moments that come from facing a challenge head on.
Exactly. And that's why Jack Ma's statement about most people dying tomorrow evening is so powerful.
It's a reminder to not let fear or complacency extinguish that inner spark, that drive to learn to grow to make a difference.
So, what does this all mean for our listeners?
It means embracing the unknown, not with fear, but with a sense of curiosity and adventure.
It means cultivating those uniquely human skills that will not only help us navigate the future, but shape it.
It means remembering that spark, that dream that makes you feel truly alive.
Nurture it, protect it, and let it guide you toward a future that is both challenging and beautiful.
The world needs your ideas, your passion, your unique contributions.
Go out there, make some waves, and prove Jack Ma wrong. Don't die tomorrow evening. Live a life so full, so vibrant, that it echoes into the future and inspires others to do the same.
Maybe someday you'll be the one sharing your wisdom on a deep dive just like this.
Until then, keep diving, keep exploring, and keep believing in the power of the future.